Why is there so much pain, suffering, anxiety, depression in everyday life? I'm Dr. Anthony Collada. I'm a board-certified psychiatrist, and in the process of me learning psychiatry, I really feel that I've been guided to come into terms and answer some of these questions because it really helps to deal with a lot of mental health problems better. It helps to deal with the challenges and adversity in life better. My goal as a psychiatrist is to help alleviate people's sufferings. Medication helps, psychotherapy helps, but I think often overlooked is how one conducts themselves, how one's relationship with God is, how they deal with other people. All of these can have an important part in mental health from my experience. And so the best explanation I've found that helps to answer these questions is looking into what the Christian faith teaches, and it starts with the life of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Paradise. So Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, they were living a life that was peaceful, joyful, with no anxiety, no fears, no disease. They didn't even have death. It was essentially a symbol of heaven, and they were just in union with God. God did give them a responsibility to take care of the garden, so they did have responsibility in life. But their life was essentially very smooth, very peaceful, flowing naturally. It was really just a blissful time. God did give them a commandment. He gave them a commandment to not eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he gave them warning for those consequences. He said, if you eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, that'll lead to death. So they had basically these rules that they were supposed to follow while attending to the Garden of Eden. So it's believed mankind has been given these rules to follow to choose freely on whether to choose good or evil, and giving him the option to choose the path of holiness and goodness. Otherwise, God could have just made robots to roam the earth. Now, this is going to relate to mental health. Just hear out the story a little bit longer. So they didn't need anything. There was no void in their life. They had everything they wanted. They had everything they needed. There wasn't problems that they had. But when they disobeyed the commandment of God, when they ate of the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, that's when death came into their being. That's when death came into their life. And not only death, but disease as well. And the Bible clearly states that this is the first time that mankind developed fear. This is the first time mankind developed anxiety, sadness, worries. All the troubles in life happened after they disobeyed God's commandment. When they disobeyed God's commandment, they essentially separated themselves from God. They separated themselves from that source of comfort, that source of peace, that source of joy, and it left a void in their life. It's a void that is still in people's life to this day, and there's only one way that the Bible shows or teaches that it can be filled. That void is through Jesus Christ himself. But psychologically, there's still a void in people's life. And whether one fills it with Jesus Christ, it's an option that they can choose. Now, how Christ fills the void in people's life is going to differ between different people. But across the board, it's going to be the good actions, being kind, good, gentle, being patient, trying to exercise self-control. All these can be overcome and maybe acquired through the power of Christ. And it's also going to be these qualities and virtues that will help people to have good mental health. I don't want to get into the Christian dogma of what entails having Christ inside someone, whether through the baptism, Holy Communion, confession process. That's for a whole nother sermon or lecture, and it's probably not best addressed by a psychiatrist. But what is important is having the mind of Christ. Your thoughts affect your feelings, which affect your actions. So in order to change any one of these, in order to live healthily and live fully, you're going to have the right mindset. You're going to have that right relationship with Christ to have these good qualities in one's life. Many times, people may try to fill this void in life through something else. They might fill that void through friendships. Maybe it's through food, maybe sex, maybe drugs, games, alcohol, money, work. There's so many ways that people try to fill this fear, anxiety, uncertainty in their life. There's really only one way to clearly fill that void, and through Christian teaching, that's through Jesus Christ. And this is supported through mental health as well. One of the best ways to treat addiction, for example, is Alcoholics Anonymous or AA meetings. It's this group of fellowship of people that come together and are open about their addiction to alcohol or other drugs. And they share it in this open group. And this group goes through 12 steps that align with the Christian principles Each 12 step can be supported through Christian principles, and it's found to be the best way to help people to be sober. If you don't believe me, just attend an AA meeting. You can do so freely online or at your local place. Introduce yourself, and you can learn from these principles, and that's the most effective way to help people from being addicted. There's also a bunch of research that supports that going to church services and being part of a church community helps decrease the severity of mental illness. It helps decrease the intensity of symptoms. Also, it helps protect people from committing suicide or doing harms like that down the road. Human beings, since the days of Adam and Eve, have a void in their life, and that void can only be filled through Jesus Christ. Because of Adam and Eve, people have been separated from God, but through Jesus Christ, we can be reconciled once again with God and have that joy, have that peace, have those things fulfilled in our life. It doesn't mean that someone won't get sick. It doesn't mean that someone won't get disease. It doesn't mean that there won't be challenges or frustrations or problems that happens in life. But out of all the solutions that are there, the best solution is first seeking Christ, and all those other things will fall into place. Maybe it involves seeking Christ. Maybe it involves a surgery or medications or some sort of guidance or lifestyle change. Oftentimes it involves a combination of factors, but we can see through the story of Adam and Eve why mankind had to suffer in the first place. And it wasn't necessarily God's intent to make creation suffer, but it was the choice of mankind when God created them. And then God, being the good, loving God that he is, doesn't want to see mankind to live a full life of disease and death, but wants to see mankind raise up with him in heaven. So Jesus Christ came into the world to help mankind restore back to the heavenly kingdom. Hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully this helps to meditate or contemplate if anyone's dealing with any sickness, illness, troubles. Be sure to like the video if you liked this video and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one.